This is the Brewers POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Milwaukee Brewers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Oh boy, did the Brewers need that one, and they get it this evening. They hold on. They snap their two-game losing skid, a 7-5 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 1 of their four-game series at American Family Field. The bats for Milwaukee exploding in the third inning. We'll talk about that. Arizona making it a little tight as the game went on. We'll talk about that, certainly. But the Brewers and their bullpen shutting the door on Arizona's offense, and they hold on for the very much needed victory after losing their last two games and 6 of their last 9. Hello, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST. As always, my name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide. Follow all of my work over at WTMJ.com, where we cover all of our Wisconsin sports teams. As always, this very program, the Locked On Brewers POSTCAST, as well as the Locked On Brewers podcast with my guy Chuck Freeman, free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts. That's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon. Wherever you get audio podcasts, you can get this very program. And as always, we thank you for making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. We're also over on YouTube and get all of our content over on YouTube. Just go to the app, search Locked On Brewers, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live, and do me a favor, smash that thumbs up and give us a thumbs up, because the Brewers snapped their two-game losing streak, getting the 7-5 win tonight against the Diamondbacks. 82-50 now are our Milwaukee Brewers. An up-and-down start for Brandon Woodruff. We're going to definitely dive into that. It was a weird game for Brandon Woodruff, and we'll kind of discuss what transpired for Big Woo on the mound, but it doesn't really matter because the Brewers did get the win, a big third inning, and that's going to get us things kicked off for our scoring summary this evening, brought to you by 5 Hour Energy in FanDuel. A big third inning would kick off for the Brewers, and without further ado, that would be your turning point in a 7-5 win.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Nothing for either one of these teams in the first two innings, and in the top half of the third, nothing for Arizona. However, for our Milwaukee Brewers, it was quite the inning. Isaac Collins leading things off with a double. Then Blake Perkins would follow him up with a single. That would leave runners on first and third. And then a Monasterio single, a Bryce Terrain single, a William Contreras single, a Yelich single. Vaughn would walk. That would load the bases. Frelick would ground out to second. And that would bring in a run. After all of that, the Brewers would plate in 5 runs off of 6 straight hits in the third inning. They would chase starter Eduardo Rodriguez, and I'll give Arizona this for the game, and we'll kind of dive into this a little bit later on in the show when we talk about Brandon Woodruff. The Diamondbacks got saved by one member of their bullpen. We'll talk about him later on after we get into the scoring summary, but the Brewers able to kind of hold off things in that fourth inning, and certainly for Andrew Monasterio, a big at-bat in the fourth inning for him, a solo home run, and just what a player he has been. And you can point to a number of different players that have kind of just stepped into a role where maybe that wasn't what they were destined to do or be a part of, and that was kind of Andrew Monasterio. Joey Ortiz goes down with a hamstring injury, and Mana has stepped in. You saw the big home run in Cincinnati as a solo shot in the fourth inning. That would give the Brewers a 6-0 advantage, and he continues to just step in and play ball and be there for this team when they need him most. You look at a guy kind of like Isaac Collins earlier in the year, where he kind of stepped in, again, infielder by trade Collins is, and he goes into the outfield, and now he's in line for National League Rookie of the Year honors, and he kind of just steps in. Blake Perkins, another one of those guys where Churio goes down, Blake Perkins is inserted into a role as well, and plays a big part of it, and a big reason why this team is 32 games over 500. So good to see Andrew Monasterio get some consistent at-bats, and he continues to produce. He had a solo shot in the fourth, like I mentioned. That gave the Brewers a 6-0 advantage. And Brandon Woodruff at this point, even into the fifth inning, cruising along. I mean, sat down, I believe, at one point 12 straight Diamondback batters, and it felt like truly, it felt like, after that fifth inning, I'm like, man, Woody's going to go. Pitch count was low. I was like, Woody's going to go 7, maybe into the 8th inning this evening. I mean, Arizona had no shot against Brandon Woodruff up until the 6th inning. A Marte single that would get the Arizona Diamondbacks on the board. Then they would have a bunch of soft hits, a couple of infield hits, a Gurriel Jr. home run, and then all of a sudden it's a 6-5 game for this team. And then you're like, okay, here we go once again, right back into a tight game, a game where Brandon Woodruff gets pulled after just tossing what it felt like he was cruising along, just 5 2/3 innings pitched for Brandon Woodruff. He did get the win this evening, 5-1 on the season. And the Brewers so far, because they got the win this evening, have won 8 of his 9 starts this season since he has returned. So the Brewers playing good ball behind Brandon Woodruff, but he was cruising along, and you thought he would be able to at least finish the 6. Obviously, the Arizona Diamondbacks putting together some good at-bats, putting players on base, getting the hits when they need them. They would chase Brandon Woodruff out of that 6. Aaron Ashby, once again, we kind of talked about DL Hall a couple of weeks ago being kind of like an unsung honorable mention for player of the game. And that's the case once again for this Brewers bullpen for Aaron Ashby. It was only 1 2/3 for Ashby, but he was able to get out of a jam in that 6th inning and kind of shut down the Arizona bats going forward and leaving things up to Nick Mears and Abner Uribe. Abner getting the save, his 3rd of the year. Abner Uribe, once again, you guys know if you listen to the show how much I love Abner Uribe. We'll talk a little bit about him, I'm sure, as the show goes on. But that would take us out of the 6th, nothing for the 7th or the 8th for the Arizona Diamondbacks. But Caleb Durbin with the solo shot in the 8th inning, a 378-foot shot to left field against a right-handed pitcher. May I, make that note there? That was a right-hander throwing the ball to Caleb Durbin as he smacked it to left field. That gave the Brewers the 7-5 lead, as I mentioned. Abner Uribe shutting the door down for this Brewers team, getting the save. 1 inning fully pitched, just 11 pitches thrown for Cowboy, and the Brewers hold on for a very much needed good bounce back win, a 7-5 win over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Arizona, kind of like San Francisco, not playing up to standards, playing a little bit better as of late, but not up to standards on where we thought, or at least where they thought they were going to be, and people that cover them thought they would be. So it's still a good win. I know it's not a playoff team as it sits right now, but it's still a really good roster and a team that, can definitely, provide some pop throughout their lineup. So the Brewers get a very, very big win, in my opinion, kick things off, get the vibes going for this 4-game series. And again, still in the stretch of all these games and all these days. No break yet for the Brewers. A week from now, actually a little over a week from now, next Tuesday will be their next day off. We kind of talked a little bit about Brandon Woodruff, and he does get the win. 5 2/3 innings pitched. He did give up those 5 earned runs there in that 6th inning, all in that inning to Arizona. On the flip side, Eduardo Rodriguez for the Arizona Diamondbacks, for the Brewers offense, they did everything that they should have done against Rodriguez. Get guys on base, take your walks, bat in runs, however you can get them in. And they chased Rodriguez after just 2 1/3 innings pitched. And then I'm sitting back and I'm like, oh, this is great. This is so good because, number one, your starter's gone. Number 2, the Brewers were up 6-0 at that point. 5-0, I believe, actually was at that point. And then I'm sitting here thinking, like, man, their bullpen in a 4-game series is going to be toast, like, going forward. And it was lining up to be perfect. Then entered Bryce Jarvis for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and you tip the cap. Like, the Brewers did obviously played a couple of runs on him, but he pitched 5 2/3 innings for a team that was down 6-0 in this game. For him to come back and for them to only use 2 pitchers in this game, which included their starter after just 2 1/3 innings pitched, he saved their bullpen for the rest of the series, and we'll see how that goes going forward. But tip your cap to Bryce Jarvis for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Despite all that, the Brewers still get the victory, but it looked like it was lining up to be a really good opportunity for this Brewers offense to really dig into that Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen. And Jarvis just shut the Brewers down. But it's okay, because I think we'll all substitute the bullpen being saved for one day for a Brewers win after losing 2 of their last 3 and 6 of their last 9 overall. So it felt good to get back into the win column. No Cubs game this evening, so the Brewers with a 5.5 game lead in the National League Central Division. Your player of the game and your thoughts, your reactions, all coming up on the program after this. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast is brought to you by 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. The grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot bring the iconic taste of the golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or if you're like me, you just need a little extra push just to get through the day. 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. And golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape, ginger, lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of the clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up on the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the U.S. This does exclude the Masters tournament. However, tee up for that trip, visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase is necessary. Once again, 5hewin.com for more. Today's Locked On Brewers postcast also brought to you by our wonderful partners over at FanDuel. August 26th, that is tomorrow. It's officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and those preseason hunches. And for just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you on deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP shot, eyeing a lawn divisional winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week one even kicks off, right now is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. Once again, that is August 26th. That is coming up tomorrow. FanDuel, fuel your game. A 7-5 win for our Milwaukee Brewers. They do it with the bats this evening at American Family Field. A solid start. A very up and down start, I should say, for Brandon Woodruff. I would say the first 4.5 of those innings that he pitched this evening, probably the best Brandon Woodruff we've seen all year. And then things kind of unraveled there in the 6th inning, where the Arizona Diamondbacks would score 5 runs off of Woody, and he would get chased after 5 2/3 innings pitched. Overall, though, a good performance, I think, from Brandon Woodruff. Definitely something to build off of. Aaron Ashby, as we had mentioned, coming in relief. Nick Mears in relief as well. So shout out to the bullpen. Once again, it feels like every game, every win is a close bullpen game. And it really felt bad. I shouldn't say felt bad, but I guess I don't really know what the term is that I'm looking for. But I don't want to say disappointed, because the Brewers did win. But I guess disappointed is probably the best way to look at it, because of a bullpen that has been taxed as much as the Brewers have, including a guy like Nick Mears and Abner Uribe, who we just saw yesterday, and we saw Friday as well against the Giants. You were hoping when the Brewers had that big lead, that 6-0 lead going into the 5th inning and beyond, that you were like, man, great, we can kind of cruise a little bit, not have to use those high leverage arms. But not the case this evening for the Brewers. Although I will say this again, I will substitute that for a win all day, every day, especially this late in the season. Your Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game coming up.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
For this one, I'm going to be honest with you. I was going to go into it, and I'm like, man, Brandon Woodruff is shoving. He was going to be my Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. And then things kind of, as we had mentioned, unraveling a little bit there at the back end of the start for Brandon Woodruff. But this one, I'm going to go in a different route. And I'm not going to pinpoint any player specifically, but I'm going with the Brewers bats in this one, because for the longest time, when the Brewers struggled, it was always, what did they do with runners in scoring position? Who did they leave on base? How many did they leave on base? And tonight was a perfect example. You score 7 runs, you have 10 hits, and when you're able to put the ball in play with this team and how they're set up with starting pitching, as we have mentioned with the Brandon Woodruff start up until that 6th inning, but how great Aaron Ashby has been, how great Nick Mears has been. You guys know I love Abner Uribe, who, by the way, 0 earned runs in his last 17 appearances is Abner Uribe. He also holds the top spot in Major League Baseball for holds at 35. So Abner Uribe getting the job done. He does secure the save this evening, his 3rd of the year. But I'm going with the Brewers bats because 5 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight were our Brewers. Yelich with a hit, Andrew Monasterio with a hit, Blake Perkins with a hit, William Contreras, Bryce Terrain, Isaac Collins, Frelick, and Durbin, the only 3 that couldn't get it done for the Brewers with runners in scoring position, but they were able to plate runs with guys in scoring position, something they had failed to do in Chicago, something they had failed to do against the San Francisco Giants. So the Brewers offense getting it done this evening. And shout out to William Contreras and Christian Yelich, both of those guys with multiple hits this evening for the Brewers, something we also didn't see during that series with the Giants. The meat of the order tonight for the Brewers, certainly getting it done. A 7-5 win, 82-50 on the season. Now are our Brew Crew a 5.5 game lead in the National League Central Division with no Cubs playing tonight. They'll begin a series with the Giants tomorrow. Of course, the Brewers win. Your thoughts, your reactions, and I better see some celebrations. I know things are not pretty right now, and we're starting to feel a little bit tight as Charles over on YouTube disagreeing with the Locked On Brewers postcast player of the game. Charles says, how do you not go with the bullpen tonight? It's a great point. I mean, really, I feel like you could go with the bullpen probably more times than not, I suppose, because they've been that good. Certainly, Aaron Ashby's just been, him and DL Hall have been lifesavers. That long relief. It's been a struggle with the Brewers starters going deep into games. But for what they're able to do, I know DL Hall's on the injured list, but you're right, Charles. Part of I do agree with you. Ashby, Nick Mears, and Abner Uribe, I mean, holding things down, only surrendering 1 hit over the last handful of innings tonight was the Brewers bullpen. I gave it to the Brewers bats because they were doing something, or at least they did something this evening that they haven't been able to do in over a week, and that's hit with runners in scoring position. So again, shout out to Aaron Ashby, shout out to Nick Mears, and shout out to Abner Uribe, one of my favorite players, as you guys know that. The Brewers all holding on. A team win, as Greg over on YouTube says, gutsy win Brewers. Could have completely folded after the D-backs made their comeback. After that Gurriel 3-run home run, I put it out on Twitter. I said, oh boy, like this is the last thing this team needs during this stretch. And we talked about the adversity that they're facing, the adversity that they're going to have to face, and how they're going to respond. And we all kind of collectively agreed that Sunday, it was I still call it a heartbreaking loss for a lot of different reasons. But for them to be able to respond tonight in the manner in which they did, and obviously it wasn't all pretty, right? You gave up a handful of runs in the 6th inning. Things got tight after you were up 6-0, but you do get the win. So it was a good response nonetheless for this Brewers team going forward, and sets the tone for the 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. Every day or Harley over on YouTube. Thanks again for you guys chiming in live on YouTube. Do me a favor, please hit that thumbs up. Harley says Uribe needs to be the closer going forward. No doubt about it. I don't think that's going to happen. Trevor McGill, second in baseball with saves. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Trevor McGill was obviously used Friday. He was obviously used Sunday. And I know Abner was as well, but he did not toss as many pitches as Trevor. I think that going forward, the Brewers are still going to have Trevor McGill in that role. Now, after this season and future, outlook, that's obviously another discussion that we could have, or that certainly that the Brewers will have. Isaiah over on YouTube. Tomorrow is Miz's most important start of the season. If tomorrow goes poorly, he might be going back to AAA, or at the very least, no spot in the rotation. I would say, and this is going to sound very hyperbolic, every start right now for Miz is his most important, because he has to continue to build off of the good and the bad. And I know that sounds very cliche, and certainly it sounds like coaches talk or Murph talk, but I think going forward, every outing for Miz is going to be his most important, because for him to be kind of thrown into the fire, and he certainly was, right? I mean, Clayton Kershaw, and then he faced Paul Skeens, and then he's an all-star, and people are, causing, havoc over on social media and calling him all sorts of things and how he shouldn't be this or shouldn't be that, and was kind of thrown into the fire right away for this, for his young career. And every start has been a step, and hopefully that's the same for tomorrow. I don't think they're going to send him back to AAA. I think he's going to still have a spot in the rotation. They're obviously going to be monitoring his innings, as we have talked about. He's already exceeded what he thrown through a year ago. So they're going to be careful with him, but I don't think he's going to, in fear of losing anything tomorrow. But I will say this. I'm happy to see him. I'm trying to remember the last time he pitched at home off the top of my head. And I know he pitched against the Cubs back in July at home. I know he pitched in Chicago recently. I think it'll be good for Jacob Misiorowski to get in front of the home crowd. I mean, he has a different bounce, to his step pitching in front of the home crowd. So I'm excited to see how he responds tomorrow against these Diamondbacks. Everydayer woodworking outdoorsman. He goes, that's why you don't pitch for Caleb Durbin. They pinched hit for Caleb Durbin yesterday. Anthony Siegler did, who would strike out. Although I did kind of defend Siegs on that because I don't think that he thought, I don't think he really saw a strike in that at bat that last night, or excuse me, yesterday afternoon. Nonetheless, he did strike out and ended the game. But unfortunately, I do agree that Caleb Durbin needs to be an everyday player. I mean, he's right there with, I don't want to put him on the same, pedestal as a guy like Sal Frelick or Bryce Terrain in the infield, but I don't know. I'd have a hard time taking Caleb Durbin out of the lineup for what he's able to do offensively and defensively. Caleb Durbin's been stout at third base, and offensively he's showing you again. And yesterday he had a double and a home run. He gets pinched hit for, and then he responds today by knocking in a home run and giving that the Brewers an insurance run there in the 8th inning. So it was good to see for Caleb Durbin, and hopefully going forward that gives him some ground to stand on as far as where he is as far as going forward and the consistency that he'll be able to have going forward. Woodworking outdoorsman also say, I'm done worrying about the Cubs. I want that 100th win. Yeah, no Cubs this evening. They will begin a series with the Giants, but the Brewers do get the 7-5 win. Some good things in this game, as we have mentioned. Overall, I still think it was a really good performance from Brandon Woodruff on the mound. 5 2/3 innings pitched. He looked really, really good for most of that start up until that 6th inning where things kind of unraveled for him. But again, shout out to Aaron Ashby. Shout out to Nick Mears. Abner Uribe securing his 3rd save, holding things down for that bullpen once again. And the Brewers bats coming alive. 5 for 8, as we have mentioned, with runners in scoring position. They played 5 runs in the 3rd inning. And that was, of course, your turning point as they secure their 82nd win of the season. 32 games over 500, 5.5 games in lead in the National League Central Division. We'll pick things back up tomorrow. My thanks to each and every one of you for always tuning in. Thank you for always making Locked On Brewers part of your day each and every day. Remember, wherever you get audio podcasts, you can get this very program as well. We are free and available wherever you guys get audio podcasts, and over on YouTube as well. Everything that we do is free and available on YouTube. Type in Locked On Brewers on that search bar, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, hit that notification bell, get notified when we go live, and we will go live tomorrow as our brew crew will take on the Diamondbacks in game 2 of their 4-game series. Once again, my thanks to each and every one of you. My name is Brandon Snide. You can follow me on X, formerly Twitter, at Brandon_Snide, and follow all my work over at WTMJ.com. Until tomorrow, and it certainly feels good to get back into the win column. As we always say, win, lose, or draw, it is simply go Brewers. Have a good one, everyone. Talk to you tomorrow. See you.